Girls of Reddit, what is the most obvious sign you gave to a guy and he didn't get it? With my boyfriend, on our first date he didn't give me a kiss and left and I just said, "What, no kiss?" And he just awkwardly laughed and walked away. I thought I blew it or something. Second date he asked me to his apartment. I asked if I could take my pants off since they were uncomfortable and we laid on the bed watching a movie. I had my leg over his body and left leaning in close for a kiss, and he didn't kiss me. He finally kissed me when I was about to leave and was in the middle of talking when he did it. Lamau. Edit. He and I were talking about it and what was going through our minds during it. He told me that he didn't want to be rude and kiss me on the first date and that he kind of walked away so quickly was because he was nervous. On the second date, we were actually going to a race but it was cancelled and since I was an hour in the city during the night, he invited me to his apartment. I was wearing jeans at the time and I didn't want to lay in his bed with jeans. I'm a guy, I'll give you one from middle school. 7th grade me, talking to a bunch of kids on the last day of school, including a cute 8th grade girl who I had gym with. As I leave, she yells, "Hey, Jongan 832. I don't have your number." Comment to which I reply, "Yay, I don't have yours either. Bye." I'm going to lie and say I instantly regretted it. Told the guy I liked, now my boyfriend, that I was single and was looking for a boyfriend, and he just wanted to have fun. That's always difficult. Then later in the conversation I ended up calling him hot and boyfriend material. Yeah, bad joke I know, and he was like, haha thanks. 3 hours afterwards he texted me and was like, wait, were you flirting with me? Now we're dating and I like to tease him about his constant obliviousness. I met my partner of 9 years when we were at a mutual friend's 20th birthday. I was into him, but he was completely clueless. I could tell he was attracted to me, but he was so awkward and adorably innocent. I would dance with just him, grab his hand to keep up with the group through the busy nightclub, place his hand on my waist or hips. Hours had passed and he wasn't getting it. Eventually I fully sat on his lap, despite empty seats either side of him. He froze, not sure what to do. The friend whose party it was caught his attention before demonstrating how to handle a woman in your lap. The birthday boy pulled his girlfriend to his lap, encircling her waist in his hands and whispering in her ear with pointed looks at my guy. Awkwardly my partner tried to do the same, but he was so uncertain. Later we all went for drunken late-night macas before everyone split up for the night. He tried to drag me into a shadow to kiss me goodnight, but couldn't get his confidence up before his rowdy friends came and dragged us all apart. He was so adorably frustrated. A couple of days later I added him on Facebook because I wanted to know more about him. We started chatting all night every night and eventually got our shit together. It turned out he had never been kissed, so the next time we saw each other in person I made sure to rectify that. 9 years later we are no longer close with the mutual friends that got us together, but he's all I could ever need. Literally the best decision I ever made. There were rumors in my store that I liked one guy and that he liked me back, but we were too stupid to admit it to each other. One day I was fed up with all of this and decided to take action, so in front of everyone I shouted at him from the opposite side of the department, "Hey name, I like you, okay?" He turned and shouted back, "Thank you." We dated for 3 months, then we broke up. Not so much that he didn't get it, as that he was just very innocent and adorable. Back in middle school we were hanging out and I said, "If you were to kiss me right now, I wouldn't stop you." To which he opened his eyes wide and said, "What, really?" I nodded and he kissed me on the cheek and blushed. Nothing came of it, but years later he mentioned that he realized what I meant a few days after our hangout and was so embarrassed, he assumed he had missed his chance. I'm not a girl, but the idiot guy. I had just met the best friend of my best mate's girlfriend. She got more physical throughout the night to a point where she was constantly touching me, and while we were at a strip club, her idea, she suggested we leave as my best mate and his girlfriend had disappeared. We were both a bit drunk at this point and decided to get a cab home. When the cab pulled up at her place she asked if I wanted to stay the night and she would drive me home in the morning. Me being the polar opposite of Stephen Hawking said, "Nah, it's fine, my place is only a few minutes away." Once I got back to my place the driver asked if I was gay and everything hit me at once. Ended up back at her place a few weeks later after my mate explained just how dumb I am. I met a cute guy in college and we started texting a lot. Our school used to host 19+ themed club nights on campus every Thursday night, and one of those nights, the guy texted me and asked if I was planning on going. I hadn't planned on it, but was hoping the guy would invite me to go with him, so I said something like, "No, I always wanted to go, but none of my friends are 19 yet, so I have no one to go with." He said, "Oh, that's too bad. Have a good night." Eventually, he caught on to my flirting and we've been dating for 3.5 years now. He still insists that there was nothing wrong with his response. A number of years ago. Invite cute boy to stay overnight. Encourage cute boy into twin-size bed. Take clothes off, crawl into bed naked. Aggressive naked cuddle. I swear to God, at this point he actually still asked, so, just making sure, I don't want to assume, this is a signal that you would like to have sex now, right? Sweetheart, you get a gold consent awareness star for checking, and also wow, yes, obviously, geez. Early on with my husband, at the time just random internet person I had become friends with, he was taking about his motorcycle. Very obviously coming onto him, I go, yeah? So when are you going to take me for a ride on that thing? I was being like, over the top lascivious about it too. And in complete seriousness he replied that he doesn't take on passengers because he can't handle the added responsibility, and he actually removed his passenger pegs. I like to tease him about it to this day, though I've added in an emo hair flip to go with the line about the passenger pegs. I love him, but man, he can be dense. The first time we hooked up we were making out on his couch. A bit later, he gets up to go to bed and sets me up to sleep on the couch. Which is fine, he wasn't being pushy or presumptuous, I admired that. Not I also wanted to get laid, so I go, or maybe I could sleep with you? I swear I smelled the gears in his head burning as they ground to a halt and changed direction. Guy here. For my 21st I went out drinking till 5 AM with friends. I left a diner at 6 AM with a friend. We decided to walk back to his place to crash and met a woman along the way. She was walking alone and for some reason felt cool with walking with two guys. Turns out she lived 2 blocks away from my buddy. Got her to her door and she asked for my number and said we should hang out. I drunkenly decided I wanted to watch the sunrise. As soon as I got to my buddy's place she called and said her roommate was loud and she couldn't sleep. Asked me to come over and spend some time with her. I told her I was going to watch the sun come up and invited her out. She declined. I called her a week later. She told me I missed out on having a good night. A girl who had just broken with her boyfriend, who was also a friend, told me the following within 2 days of each other, and my dense mind didn't notice. The first thing she said was, "Oh, my friends think I should have dated you, not him," and I replied, "That's hilarious." 2 days later she goes, "My mom thinks we would have made a better pair than my ex and I." My amazing brain decides to say, "Oh, that's so nice of her, and also BTW, can you set me up with your friend X?" Feel like an idiot now. I am a guy, but I did have something like this happen to me. I was on a long bus trip with my school, and the whole time down to Florida a girl from the front of the bus kept looking back at me. When we got to this vacation place we were going to, her friend found me the next day and told me that this girl wanted me to put suntan lotion on her back. So I was like, okay, and went over there and kind of glopped some on and rubbed it in a little bit and said, "Is that okay?" And she said yeah, and I said okay and walked away. I was stranded in a hotel because my flight was cancelled for weather. I booty called the guy I figured was most likely to show up and conveniently lived nearby. First, and only, booty call of my life, so maybe I did it wrong, but he was not catching on. He showed up, I had a bucket of beers waiting, and we left and talked on the balcony for a while. I finally got my courage up and went inside, pushed the desk chair aside and sat on the desk. He followed and sat in a chair across the room. I asked him to close the drapes. He walked past me and closed the drapes and went back to the chair. I suggested he take his shoes off. He did, in the chair. I suggested he move closer. He brought the chair. Maybe a bit closer than that. Total confusion on his face. "OMG, will you please come here?" He finally got it, but damn, it seemed like a lot of work for a guy with a reputation for being a ladies' man. I kind of figured come to my hotel room would have been sufficient. Married to him for 12 years now. A girl once changed next to me on the bus before a band event. I averted my eyes like a gentleman and figured lots of people were changing, so it wasn't a big deal. A year later the same girl offered to take me to a secluded part of our high school after hours and blow me. I thought she was joking and laughed it off. Another time I got to school early and she asked me to drive her to McDonald's for an Egg McMuffin. While we were driving she said we could just skip school, go back to my place, no parents home, and fuck. I thought she was joking and laughed it off. Senior year, after an awards banquet, she told me she wanted to take me back to her place and make out and see where the night went. I think you know my reaction. It turns out there were a lot of girls interested in me and lots of situations like this where I missed obvious hints. In my defense, I was a recovering fat kid who was mercilessly teased in middle school, then got hot without realizing it, and I couldn't conceive of a world where these girls were serious and not making fun of me. Still, who boy was I dense. Guy here. After a breakup one time my female friend invited me over to stay the night with her. I got all excited and was like hell yeah. Got over there and shared the same bed after she snuck me through the house and into her room. She leaned over and said, "I hope this isn't confusing, I don't sleep with my friends." So like my mother taught me a mind of my own, she got really close and brushed up against me multiple times. My wife, different lady, best woman ever BTW, told me years later that she was coming into me and wanted to see if I wanted to take a risk and go after her. Essentially forcing the first move, which to a guy is confusing as fuck. I don't sleep with friends, but then rubs up against me and has me sleep in a single bed right up against her? To this day I find it confusing as all hell. Guy here, but is relevant. Be me in early 20s, very single. No lovely attractive older lady with kids. Have attractive older lady tell me her kids are gone, she's home alone, needs a massage, and invite me to come over to give her a message and to drink wine and swim in the pool with her. Go there and give her massage. Swim in pool with her. Drink wine with her. Have her invite me to snuggle with her on couch. Have her invite me to sleep with her in her bed. Go to sleep in her bed, nothing more, leave the next morning. A few years later, wait a second. I'm the guy in this situation, but this happened to me back in high school. I was talking with her on AIM and telling her about the movie Saved, which I had just seen and thought it was really hilarious. She said she'd love to see it and I told her could lend her the DVD and she said, "How about you just come over and we watch it together?" I went to her house the next day and we watched it together in her basement, and after we finished she told me I should probably go since she had homework to do. I was so excited to show someone else that movie that it didn't even occur to me that it meant something different, until her friend messaged me asking why I led her on. Honestly, had I not been completely oblivious I would have loved to have made some sort of move because I thought she was really cute. Most recent one, gave a guy my number on a napkin at work. He looked at it and said as loud as he could, "I don't get it, she thinks I have blue hair? Oh, you have blue hair. And this is your near. Okay," and walked out. Most obvious, slept with him on his 20th birthday. After that I added, "You can't say I didn't get you anything for your birthday." P-dude ended up texting me about his new relationship pretty soon after, haha. Late to post but. In high school, I was friends with two guys, we'll call them Aaron and Johnny. There had always been a three-way sexual tension between us. I was hosting a small party and we were all drinking and having a good time. Aaron and I sneak off into the other room and start getting frisky. As things are getting really hot and heavy, Aaron calls out for Johnny to come into the room. Johnny comes in, and Aaron puts Johnny's hand on my breast. Johnny says, "Wow, congrats, you got her shirt off," and leaves. Aaron and I are confused but shrug it off and get back to business. The next day, I message Johnny and ask, "Hey, why didn't you want a threesome last night?" And Johnny replies, "What? There was a threesome?"